Hi again, and welcome to part 3 of the dot2 training series. In this video, we're going to look at programming chasers and effects and storing them into queues. It is assumed that you have seen part 1, getting started within minutes, and part 2, first steps into playback, and that you have patched some fixtures into your console already. If not, go back and check out those videos now. Fixture selection order is a powerful tool when using chasers and effects. So before we get started, let's take a quick look at the customizable fixture layout views. The standard fixture view has the fixtures laid out by fixture type, then by ID number. If you want your fixtures laid out in a different order, for example to match your rig, then you can build a customizable fixture layout view. To use one of these, let's first select our fixtures from our normal fixture view, press the Store key, then choose one of the 5 customizable view symbols at the top of the fixture view, and then press anywhere in the middle of the layout screen. This will put all the fixtures we have selected on the screen. We can move these fixtures around by turning on Edit mode by pressing the symbol that looks like a pencil on top of the screen, and then clicking and dragging the fixtures into position. And we shouldn't forget to turn Edit mode off when we have finished. Now we have a customized fixture layout view. We can click and drag across this view to select the fixtures in order, or simply pick and choose by clicking individual fixture icons. For the purposes of the rest of this video, we're going to use the fixed fixture screen, so let's go back to that by pressing the symbol with 4 boxes in it. Alright, let's start by selecting our first fixture and raising its dimmer to full. Now we'll store this into one of our executor faders by pressing the Store key, followed by a button below our next free fader. Now turn this fixture off again by pressing the Point key twice. This is a useful shortcut to set a fixture to 0. Let's select the next fixture and turn it on. Press the next key, followed by Full. If we store this into the same fader executor, we will be asked on screen what we want to do. We'll select the option to create a second queue. Now we'll repeat this process with all of our fixtures. Point to turn the fixture off, next to select our next fixture, Full to turn it on, Store and the button below the fader to store it. When we have worked our way through all the fixtures, we'll press the Clear key twice to clear the programmer. Let's check that the sequence is stored correctly. When we push up the fader and press the Go key underneath it, we should see our fixtures light up one at a time as we go through the queues. Now we're going to turn this sequence into a chaser. On the screen above our faders, we'll touch the label of the sequence we have created. This opens a full screen of our executors. Then we touch our sequence again to open up the setting of our executor. Now we simply select the option to turn the sequence into a chaser by pressing the green tick box next to Is Chaser. You will now see that your sequence has changed color to indicate it is now a chaser. We have now created a chaser. Let's press the Go key below our fader again and watch it run. Now that we have a chaser running, how about adjusting the speed and controlling how it fades from one queue to the next? To do this, we'll want our queue list open. That's the View key followed by the Go key below our fader. We'll also want to make sure our chaser is running by pressing the Go key. Now we see that Fade and Speed have appeared on our second and third encoder wheels. The second wheel, Fade, will vary how the chaser transitions from queue to queue. At 0%, the queues will snap instantly from one look to another. At 100%, they will fade evenly between the queues. We can use the third wheel to vary the speed of our chaser, measured in beats per minute. If the range of speeds available isn't enough, then we can halve or double the speed of our chaser by pressing the half speed or double speed buttons on the lower part of the touchscreen. The 1-to-1 speed button on the touchscreen will reset our speed range back to default. On the lower part of the touchscreen, we see a green bar labeled Forward. On the right of this bar are 3 dots. By pressing this, we are shown some options on how our chaser should run. We can change our chaser from running forwards to running backwards, bouncing forwards and backwards, or even running to random steps. Next to the direction bar, we have another control that says Endless. Once again to the right, we have our ellipses that we can press to change the options. The Shoot Off option will allow the chaser to run once and then turn itself off when complete. Let's try this. Select Shoot Off and use the Go key to run the chaser. The Shoot On option will run the chaser once, but leave the last cue on when finished. To get our chaser to run continuously again, we change this option back to Endless. Chasers can be used on all attributes on moving fixtures. For example, using the techniques we've just learned, we could create a chaser that runs between different positions or changes the color of our fixtures. We can even combine attributes to make complex chasers. Before we begin, we should explain the difference between a chaser and an effect. A chaser is simply a sequence of cues that runs automatically from one cue to the next. An effect employs moving values that can be applied to features within individual cues. Further along, you'll be able to build your own effects, but for the purposes of this video, we are going to show you how to use the effects that are built into the dot2 console. Let's try using some effects on our fixtures. First, we want to make sure we start from a clear stage. As before, we hold MA and press Off, followed by everything off. Now let's select a group of fixtures and press the color attribute key at the top right of the furthest right touchscreen. Now we press the effects symbol at the top of the screen. This will bring up the effects page for colors on the right screen. To start an effect, just press the key for the desired effect on this screen. Let's try it now with a 2-color hard effect. This will change our colors to blue and then to white, one after another in the order they are selected. At the bottom of the screen, we can see that our rotary encoders have also changed to the encoders for our currently running effect. The second encoder is our speed control, once again measured in beats per minute. The fourth encoder controls the width and softness of the effect. This can be combined with different effects for some neat results. By default, the encoder controls your width. If you play with this, you will see the ratio of white to blue increase and decrease. Press the MA key to access the second feature, in this case the softness. The softness control will change your effect from a hard snapping effect to a nice smooth fading effect. Alright, let's try a movement effect next. First, we'll clear the color effect by pressing the Off tile on the color effect screen. We'll then select the position attribute from the buttons on the right side of the right screen and press the effects symbol to open the effect window. Here we have some effects for pan only, some just for tilt, and others that are combined. Let's see how this works by selecting the tilt sign and then pan sign effects. Now we can see both effects running. If we need to stop one of our effects from running, we just press the Off hard key followed by the effect on the touchscreen we wish to stop. Next up, let's try changing the size. Simply press the size value button in the top right corner, and then you can use the encoders to change the size of pan and/or tilt. Effects are incredibly powerful and allow some really complicated stuff to be programmed quickly. You can use these techniques to create effects for any attribute on your fixtures. Effects can be stored with static values into cues in exactly the same way as we've shown you in previous videos when storing cues. Effects will also obey cue fade times. If we want to use an effect more than once, then we can store it into the same location we stored our presets. We simply set up our effect, bring up the appropriate preset page, then press Store and choose an empty location to store it. We can now quickly recall and use the same effect over and over again. What about if we want to stop an effect within our cue list? Well, first, we'll need to select our fixtures again. Then we simply change the value or use a preset to override the effect. This works for everything except positions. If we want to stop a position effect, we need to return to the positions effects page and press the stomp key. Now we can store this into a queue, which will result in the effect stopping when we run that queue. And again, this will respond to queue fade times. One other thing to know about position effects is they operate centered around the base position the fixtures are in. Let's take a look. First, we create a simple tilt sine wave effect with the lights pointing straight down and store it into the first queue of a sequence. Then we'll move the lights so they are pointing up and store that into queue 2. When we play the cues back, the movement effect runs pointing at the stage in queue 1, then carries on running in queue 2 just centered around the higher position. Finally, we have another tool that allows us to manually change the speed of our effects while they are running. Remember the magic speed screen from our last video? Well, the first control in there is called master speed. Now let's play back one of our cues with an effect on it, and we can speed it up or slow it down using the master speed control. So now we know how to create a sequence, turn it into a chaser, and edit the speed, direction, and loop control. We can also now create effects and use them in our show. Why not try this software yourself? Just visit ma.2.com and download the free ma.2 on PC software. While you're there, pick up the absolutely free visualization companion software, ma.2 3D. Watch out for new videos coming soon to teach you more features of the ma.2 console.